I mean, we're talking about intentionality here, right? And it goes back to
Hmm.
what Jay said earlier to the three P's or the three R's. Are we being proactive or are we being reactionary? And and I think it plays out on two levels, and we've heard both play out. So what Casey just brought up is intentionality as a couple, as one unit, as a team. But I like that idea of oneness because that goes a whole other level. Because you could be a team, but then like get rid of players. But if you're like you said, Casey, you're pro marriage, not divorce, which means there is this commitment to staying bound, right? And so we can
Mm.
be intentional as one unit we are on the same team. We are working together, even when it seems like we're against each other. We are putting things in place to intentionally function as one unit. And that can have powerful, immediate impacts, right? But then the other part is what Eric brought up is intentionality within ourselves. Because if we're honest, the way we normally perceive conflict is it's largely the other person's problem. Like they're if they just stopped looking at me this way or talking to me this way or doing this thing, like if I know I'm not perfect, but if they stop doing that, things would be better. Like that, as humans, we tend to put the most burden on the other person. And what we tend to forget is this really, really hard reality that we can't control or change people. Like we think we can, but who we can really have a large impact on is ourselves. And so Eric was talking about when he started to realize these things, starting to do some self work, right? Starting to figure out, let me look back at my past. Let me look at my present. Let me figure out my future, right? Like we can do work to try to understand how is it I respond in conflict? What are my triggers? Are there any past traumas that existed? Are there any stressors in my life now? And how could that influence how I respond and react? So that's a big piece of it. But then the other goes back to that oneness. How can I function, me, myself, in such a way that I am promoting that oneness rather than expecting my spouse to function a certain way so that oneness can exist. And that's hard because that's going to take some sacrifice. Sometimes that's going to mean dying to yourself. Sometimes that's going to mean some long suffering, especially if there is trauma at the table, especially if there are mental health struggles, especially if there is stress in the home, a job loss, a new child, all these things. Like if we can grow in being able to say, all right, no matter what's going on, I, one, have chosen to commit to this person, period. And two, I'm going to try to live that out right now and every day. Like that in and of itself can change things. And for me, being being a Christ follower, I believe that there is this thing that can be outside of myself that can play into it. You know, Jesus talks about I'm sending the helper who can teach you all things. Because I'll be honest with you, there's plenty of times where I'm like, I don't have the strength anymore. I don't have the desire anymore. I am livid at this situation, right? Uh, and sometimes God sneaks in and whispers something that I look back and I'm like, that had to be him because I that was not me. I had no love left for my wife and somehow I was able to love my wife. That had to be God.